Thank you. Good morning to everyone, and thanks for the invitation and the wonderful organization to all the committee. So now I'm taking you back to where we started this morning, because the site we'll be talking about is located just 700 meters from the graves that were illustrated this morning by Maria Paula. And actually those graves are referred to this site, but this site also has been occupied for more than 2,000 years. So we are now focusing on one of the last, probably the last, main period of occupation at the site that has been identified through excavations. We've been working there. Tell Abraq is a quite famous site for Southeastern Arabia archaeology due to this prolonged occupation and due to the very prompt publication of the first results by Dem Potts. And excavation have taken place over many years by several missions, and we restarted a new project in 2019. So this is just to show you the extent of the work so far. As you see, we don't like very much small trenches, and we prefer extensive excavation. The Sharjah authority also restarted excavation on the other side of the site, because actually the site is split between two emirates, and I cover actually the updated image of that site because the results have not been published yet. Occupation of the site during the first centuries AD was hinted at from already during the excavation in the 90s, but just by the presence of a few graves, maybe not even so sure. During our excavation, we started to have first together to collect first evidence about this period from very superficial layers. This site also has remained open to public, let's say, until a few years ago. So you really had cars climbing the hill just for fun over the weekends. So just below the car tracks, we started finding some unexpected discovery. Among these, we started to find a great number of terracotta figurines, camels, horses, which are not maybe more expected. And then we started finding also another range of figurines, human figurines of different types and styles. And this was starting to change a little bit the pictures. Subsequently, we also discovered a few bronze figurines, which you see, which you might know that are not so common in the region. Actually, in the Emirates, they are quite unique. And last but absolutely not least, we also discovered a couple of stone statues, which are the only stone statues of human figures in the Emirates, except for the small one that was discovered by the French mission in Mleiha. The problem was we had no structure to be associated with these finds, which were becoming quite substantial. Our first idea was that they could be related to plundered graves, because we found these huge pits in several points of the site, which apparently had no reason, because they were not for quarrying stones, because we actually found the dismantled stones inside these pits. And so this left us with a doubt. We are 8 kilometers from the important site of Dur, which was, let's say, town, even if it's quite problematic, the definition, with its apogee in the first century AD, where several graves have been excavated, all were found plundered. So the robbers knew that in that period you could find gold in graves and precious and jewelry. So first we suspected that could have been the case, that we were facing the looting of other graves similar to the ones that Dem Potts had excavated. Then actually a change in the picture came about when in 2022 we first found, you see on the left image indicated with arrow, a stretch of a wall which had, let's say, a Dur flavor, if I can say so, in the sense that the building technique, for poor that it was, reminded, and also the use of beach rock slabs stones and blocks reminded us of the technique widely, mostly used at the Dur. So, well, as we enlarged the excavation, we actually discovered the very poorly preserved remains of this square structure, which was almost surely open on to the south, which, and this is oriented north, the picture. And what also seemed to, well was quite intriguing is that we found this heap of stones not far from there, including a very huge slab, which was fragmented, but it's 20 to 25 centimeters thick, unfortunately not inscribed, but and here we have a larger picture. So you see the shrine surrounded by also many tumble heaps coming from is dismantling in later periods. The point is that apart from the structure of the walls of the shrine itself, resembling the architecture of a dur, and here I put on the left an image of one, let's say, a secular dwelling at a dur, but also the presence of this possible altar nearby this supposed temple is remindful of the temple that was excavated at the Dur by the Belgian mission, dated to the 1st century AD, and associated with the cult of Shamash by the discovery of a basin, an inscribed basin with an Aramaic inscription which had been read by Texidor, if I'm not wrong, read as Shamash, even if it's not 100% sure because the letters are not really well preserved. So, putting all this together and especially this rich assemblage, we believe that the explanation, this is the most likely explanation for this structure in Tell Abraq, which is actually still remains the only structure which can be dated to the 1st century AD at the site. Last year, further discoveries and new objects, very peculiar ones, always from the topmost deposits at the site, provided further support in our interpretation to this idea of the presence of a shrine. Now, the problem, and is what links this discovery to this conference, is where were all these items coming from? So we can start having a look at the camel and generally animal figurines. These actually are of types which are quite widely known throughout the Arabian Peninsula. I included just a few ones. The technique and the decoration are the same. Actually, I can mention here that we also have some earlier figurines, but thanks to a study by Michele Degli Esposti that led a technology-based study on them, we have been able to differentiate the fabric, the surface treatment, and this also has helped us to reconstruct the fragmented figurines among the many fragments, because I think that now we have almost 60 or 70 such figurines. So this figurine actually doesn't say too much, I think, in terms of direction of connection, but they mostly indicate shared imagery, shared the habit to use the same kind of figurines over this vast area. A bit different is the issue with the human figurines. In fact, when we started looking at some parallels, and this will be actually developed in the future, we could see that there are many similar examples at other sites, but especially they seem to be concentrated on the eastern side of the peninsula, and especially actually in lower Mesopotamia. So we have a similar example from Seleucia on the Tigris, Babylon, Nippur, Susa, and notably also at Failaka, so the island off coast of Kuwait, where again a French mission has been excavating for several years. And this also is mirrored by the fact that several of our figurines show the possible original presence of a glaze, so that can be reconnected to southern Mesopotamia, not only figurines but also the glaze pottery of the Parthian period. Some fragments of which actually we also found, not too many, in connection with the context of the shrine. The next class of materials providing indication were the bronze figurines. Actually, what is interesting is that the human naked figurine that we found at Tell Abraq was reconnected by our colleague Alexia Pavan to the possible representation of Heracles based on several parallels, also in South Arabia actually. Here I just I just showed a couple of images from Qaryat al-Faw, and it's also interesting that at the site of Ad-Dur itself, recent excavation by the Department of Archaeology have discovered a very small figurines of Heracles, which can be, I would say, surely interpreted as an actual import due to this, really accurate manufacture, especially if you contrast it to the one from Tell Abraq. And this is interesting also from the perspective of the diffusion of the cult of Heracles in Arabia, about which actually Juan de Lara has recently published a very interesting paper based on the discovery of Qaryat al-Faw itself. When it comes to the ibex figurines that I showed before, clearly the first parallels that comes to mind are with southwestern Arabia imagery. And so the ubiquitous representation of ibexes, and then I just placed some example of bronze statuary, among which actually the two on the top are completely different scales, because these are statues that are one meter high, and thus the direction of transmission. And then I also included here the statue of the Madi Karib from Mari, because it has also been connected somehow to the transmission of this Heracles imagery, especially from the fact that he wears this feline hide on his shoulders. And the roots I suggested here, clearly, we are always speaking about broadly speaking about roots. We cannot really trace one single root, I would say. So they include at least two possibilities. One was maybe going north and then from Qaryat al-Faw being redistributed, or also I would say that it is rather possible that a lower route, crossing Dhofar and then the lower part of Oman was reaching northern Oman. And I think that one of the tracks that were highlighted by Michael before was also coming from, would have represented the end of that route actually. Then other objects tell us about other possible trades, because we have a range of Greco-Roman influenced objects like this handle for jugs. We found a couple, and this arrival of Roman items actually really Roman and Roman inspired is mirrored at the Dur, as I said, just 8 kilos from where we are. Also, this is a fragment of a stone incense burner, which also find parallels, and these had been hypothetically reconnected with production from Cyprus or anyway the Eastern Mediterranean. And also here we cannot really say whether they were coming through Roman Egypt via the Red Sea, or maybe through the Levant, and in that case probably moving all the way to Mesopotamia and then coming along the rivers to the top, to the north of the Gulf. The statue I think that kind of support even more this idea of the arrivals from Mesopotamia, because these are under study. They should be published soon, mainly by Ilaria Bucci, a colleague that is working at Aarhus University, and they show clear, clear stylemas of the southern Mesopotamian statuary. In particular, they found resemblances with relief in the Palmyra area, in Atra, and again, we have to draw another parallel also with what we know from Edur, where in the late 80s, these two statues were found actually by Olivier Lecomte in Chantier F, and they also recall eagle statues, which are quite well known from Atra. To this, we have to add that actually from that pile of stones that we suggest could be the remains of the altar, this inscribed stone was discovered. Professor Robert Oyland, who had a quick look, he recognized that there can be some paleographic affinities with Palmyranian. So, and is actually also this, I have to say, is currently under study by Marco Morigi from the University of Catania. So, whether or not it can be really Palmyrean script, anyway, it's written in Aramaic, so it is consistent with all, let's say, flow of materials, prestigious or anyway relevant material from southern Mesopotamia. Finally, or almost finally, one of the another recent discoveries were four imitation of Roman aurae. Three of them we found hoarded, let's say, probably offered together with local bronze coins inside a small bowl near the altar, near the place, the spot of the altar which I showed before. These are interesting because it is known from the sources that a vast amount of Roman coinage was dragged to India, and actually we also have the words of Plinius who complain about this waste of imperial wealth just to buy cheap things. And actually Tiberius himself, and I didn't mention that these are actually imitation of aurae of Tiberius. And Tiberius himself complained about this habit of buying cheap stuff in exchange of valuable Roman currency. So actually, we know that a lot of a great quantity of these coins ended up in India. And we also know that there they were probably also used to produce imitations. And this is the case of these four coins. Also, the one that you see on the bottom left has been recognized by a colleague, Daniela Williams, to be probably minted, molded in this case in India, while the others, the upper three, and also the one in the center, which was found last year or a couple of years ago, just on the shore in front of Edur, they could actually have been minted in Southeast Arabia, nearby Tell Abraq. We have seen before in the presentation of Munir the mold for coins from Mleiha, so we know that Mleiha was minting its own coins, and they were probably also minting some imitation, because an interesting thing is that the first coin on the left, you see it as a defect of the coin with this thing that looks like a drop. And the French mission, actually, Michel Mouton, discovered the same coin in the palace of Mleiha, so they were probably produced by the same mold. I just placed this map in the bottom left, which has been generated by on the website of this project that you find indicated. Just quick inquiry about where validated ores of Tiberiusauris were found, and you see that the astonishing majority was found in India, and you can also see that those 2 points along the Tigris and Euphrates route, and so they are, well, they come from tombs, but they are suggestive of the importance of this route, and maybe among those, as I indicated in this triangle, it might have been even more important than the one along the Red Sea, at least in this period. So, to conclude, this is just a summarizing chart. What we have there is, I mean, what we have witnessed at Tell Abraq, and in particular in connection with this shrine, is the arrival of goods from several areas. The point is, we already had a picture like this for the nearby site of Dur, to some extent for Mleha. Also Mleha, and this can be reconnected a little bit maybe to what Munir was saying, at Mleha is inland, and actually the arrival of goods starts before, already in the 3rd century. So there was an active inland trade, which apparently around the 1st century, when there is a boom of Dur, and when this temple also can be dated, maritime routes were gaining importance and maybe also replacing it, especially if we think to this connection with southern Mesopotamia, which was most likely, I mean, it's been quite debated and discussed and demonstrated that all of this traffic was in the end of the Caracenian kingdom, and in fact, when Characene, when the province will be conquered by Trajan in 116, 117, the wealth of Dur also will start to decrease, probably because of the interruption of the situation that was established in the 1st century AD. One hypothesis, just one last word, is how did this thing, why did we have all this stuff in this relatively small place, which is not a large site like Dur? Let's say, fascinating hypothesis could this be a shrine which was somehow also known by passers-by? I mean, pushing it a bit too far, it can be remindful of the temple of Aphrodite in the Phoenician world, where you had these temples dedicated to the sailors, where everyone was going there and dedicating some stuff. I'm not saying it's like that, it's just an idea to interpret it, because surely the site at that point was, I mean, one of the main features of Tell Abraq is that it has always been a landmark, first for the population in the coastal belt since the 3rd millennium BC, and then it remains so. I mean, even until the Russian satellite pictures of the 60s, you really see this bright white spot among the dunes. So also when the temple was there, it must have been visible by everyone passing by, even if you keep in mind that on those days, the lagoon and the sea were probably much closer to the site. So, thank you.